All right, Mike, this is where the story's gonna turn a little bit. Unfortunately, now the other he and I have so many goddamn parallels, and the crossover here is Tony would come home every day that I had an opportunity to pick him up, and he would talk about Coach Moose and what he was doing in the weight room and lifting and the plays that they would run. One day we were having a little bit deeper conversation than just football practice that day, and he just looked at me and he said, "Do you know what happened to Moose?" And I was like, "No, like what happened to him? He was at practice today, he's doing his thing." And he's like, "No, John, you don't understand. Like, do you know what happened to his family?" And I was like, "No, dude, I don't." And he told me, and I at that time I didn't have the ability to process something like that.
Sure.
It sounded like a movie, like something so out of Hollywood, or somebody had scripted it or written it, not that it could be real. And so I went and I did my little bit of due diligence, and I found this article in a newspaper that kind of told me a little bit about what had happened.
Yeah.
Mike, what happened? Welcome to Bear It All, the Kintsugi Chronicles, here on the I Am Not Okay channel, where we gather our broken pieces in search of gold. And today, let's just say I've been waiting for this conversation for over 20 years. I have somebody sitting with me today, very special to me, and really very, very, very special to my brother Tony, Mr. Mike Moosbrugger.
I appreciate you having me on, man. Thank you.
Dude, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
I have been waiting so long to have this conversation,
Sure.
Mike, so we're just going to hop right in, brother.
Let's do it.
I'm going to give everybody a little context.
Sure.
Mike played football with one of our guests, Mr. Adam Ratcliffe, on that CB East team.
I did.
In 1996 against CB West. One of the best games I've ever seen. It was the first game that I saw in the Bucks County District, and it was my introduction to Varsity Blues and Friday Night Lights. And then I got indoctrinated with Coach Joe Hallman,
Of course.
who we both know.
Absolutely.
Coach, thank you so much.
Love Joe.
Thank you for coming on.
Happy 4th of July to everybody. Just wanted to give a little shout out here to Mike Moosbrugger. I've known Mike since he was 15 years old, and I consider him my adopted son. We talk all the time. I'm very proud of the man he has become. He's gone through some adversity that probably would have crushed most people, but Mike has risen to the top, and now he's an advocate to help people, young people that need help, need somebody to talk to. And there aren't many young mentors out there today that are willing to do that, but Mike is one of them, and he's probably one of the best ones. And I just want to say, Mike, I'm very proud of you, and I love you, and keep doing what you're doing, my friend.
That crossroad led to understanding and getting to know Mike through football. So we didn't actually graduate together. Mike graduated a few years before I did. The crossroad after Coach Hallman was my brother, Tony, and Tony went to Central Bucks South High School. He graduated in 2006, and I know I just did a shitty job there of introducing Mike. Let me do a better job. Mike graduated in 1997. He got a full ride to the University of Wake Forest, the Demon Deacons, as an offensive lineman. And then Mike played 2 years in the Canadian Football League for the Winnipeg Bombers, a professional football player. And then in 2003, Central Bucks South opened their first graduating class, and it was time for the sports season, and they needed a strength coach. And I think the head coach at the time was Coach Bart Zarko, who was your offensive coordinator.
He was. I'd previously played under Coach Zarko, all at East during my high school career. So it was a natural fit. He was taking over as a head coach. So it's kind of I knew his ways. He knew me. So again, natural fit. And it was an easy progression.
And then from there, you met my brother in the weight room.
I did.
And then as obviously an offensive lineman, you were clearly mentoring him.
Yep.
And that right there is really where I want to start today. For me, I don't get the opportunity really often to hear stories about my brother, especially when he was in the football room with some of those coaches, some of the other kids. So to have you here today, I know he brought you here. Sure. And I mean it when I say he would tell me stories after practice. John, you don't understand. Like, Moose is so intense. He can teach us so many awesome things. He's got everybody in there lifting really heavy, just like you guys did at West, man. So I feel like we're going to have a real good opportunity. Like, he was really excited about working with you, and he felt you could take him to a level like he saw me get to play at West.
He, your brother he's one of my favorites. He was, I would say, other coaches would say he was tough to manage. I would say he wasn't tough to manage. He just needed some extra attention, right? What I mean by that, Tony loved to ask questions. So, if we're running, a power play to the right and we're running it for that reason because the defense is lined up, but invariably, right, he's going to ask a question as to why we're doing that, right? And that was just him. And I think a lot of coaches, you get frustrated by that, but it was just his nature. He was also a guy, like, he could get lost thinking about his circular thinking better than even I could, right? So it was a constant kind of reminder of, hey man, stay present. You're doing fine. Stay present. Take a breath. And he'd always do, the famous Tony head slap, right? He'd do the head slap, and that was kind of like his reset. But yep. For him, he was a kid. Again, I found, as I've coached over the years, but Tony was one especially. As long as you showed him and told him, right, he picked up on things very, very quickly. Right. If you just did one or the other, I found that's really where he struggled.
So he needed to kind of have it come full circle. Not taken by the hand, but like, this is what we're doing, and here's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's every kid, boy or girl, I've coached over the years, there's always variances in how you need to coach them, right? And sure. I just found that
different learning styles.
Completely, yeah. Right? And I just found, like, with your brother, it was one, if I showed him how to do a pass block and I explained to him right after why we did it that way, he would pick it up very quickly. If I just showed him, he wouldn't pick it up as quickly. If I just told him, he wouldn't pick it up as quickly. Right. And that's something that I think, with a lot of my linemen over the years I've learned. It typically works best with them, but your brother early on in my career was one that I really learned, okay, I can't train and I can't coach everybody the exact same way.
Interesting.
Because he was different. Your brother was also a guy that, back then the game was a bit more violent, and he was a kid that, he had some anger, so we had to keep that controlled in a way so that it could be used in a positive way versus him, popping off and getting personal fouls and things like that. So, football really got to be a place for your brother where it was an outlet, and it got to be a place he could let that steam out.
1,000%. That's what he would tell me when he would come, because I got the opportunity to pick him up from practice. And what I realized when I look back about his football experience, it wasn't the same as mine. His support system was very different. He was living with a friend at the time. He wasn't living at home with us. And I had moved out of the district. My dad had moved out of the district, and he still wanted to play in Bucks County. So that's why he stayed. And I was able to pick him up after practices, and that's where he would tell me what you guys were working on. And so when I've gotten an opportunity to get to know you over the years now, and we've had some cool conversations off the camera, which is why I wanted you to come on. You told me this great story about Tony in the weight room when he wanted to do a heavy squat or something, and he wanted to like hit 405, and you were like, okay, big guy, like I'll bench it and you squat it, and if you would, please embellish.
I mean, your brother, at times he had a mouth that could be in a circus, right? So he loved to chirp, he loved to talk. So he did a variation of a squat. I would like call
hip hinge
it like
or a good morning.
A hip hinge, good morning. He got, I think, we got nowhere close to 90. I think we got to, maybe 30, and then it was a
bar starts going forward.
It was a waist, and then it was a stand back up. But he it didn't bury him, right? So he stood back up, but then I was post playing at the time, but I had to just quickly put him in his place and say, have you learned? And he did his usual Tony nodding his head and would never admit defeat, or somehow it was, I'll try again next week, right? Or my hip or my back, or the weather. It was always something. There you go, right? But always with that big smile on his face as well. You know what I mean? He was a kid that he always loved to have fun with that kind of stuff. So even when at times like he would antagonize me with those things, but I let him do it because it was something that was like our thing, right? It was fun. Yeah, right?
Absolutely.
He'd get away with that kind of stuff that, not necessarily that other players couldn't, but I just knew with him, like I'll let him be a little bit of a knucklehead, because when it was time for him to be serious, he was always serious. And that's what I cared about.
And it's like he was able to turn it on when you needed him to turn it on. So you allowed him to be who he was when he didn't need to turn it on.
I've always found, in coaching is, I'm in year 22 now, as I've kind of grown and learned through young men and women, like it's important that at practice, I believe there's a time to have fun. We should have fun. And when we're having fun, we're going to have fun. But when it's time to work, we're going to work.
Gotta
right?
work.
And, every one of my athletes, I say it all the time, do it right, do it light, do it wrong, do it long. That's it.
Okay.
It's, I don't believe in, whatever I can control. I don't believe in going out there, like even in workout sessions, they're an hour and 20 minutes tops. Like these days we want guys throwing up and all that stuff. That's nonsense. That's stupid. That's egotistical stuff, right?
Yes.
It's about optimizing time, and it's about optimizing the availability for the athlete.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and as a coach, you want to make sure they're healthy and they're working hard, but they're also available to play when they're needed, and you're not beating them up.
Well, and it's the dynamics of sports have changed so much now, right? So we've got NIL, we've got AAU, we've got all this stuff. We have everybody fighting for these kids' attention year round, and they have no time to be kids.
There's that too.
There's no time to be kids. Like,
right.
It's so important to take time away from sports and to just be, right?
Yeah.
Sports are such a critical thing. There's things, especially now with social media. A guy goes out and has a great camp, and he's God's gift to everything. And then the following week, he has a big showing, and now he sucks, and no one likes him, and his ratings are dropping. And that's a huge, huge mental burden on these young people. Yeah. So, I find I really don't like that that's happened. It's the nature of the beast, right? I'm glad that athletes are getting paid now for it. I think it's great, but it's really starting to screw these things up. Like at some point, right, sports is going to end for everybody, right? Even the great Tom Brady, right? He's a broadcaster now.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's a challenge when athletes get to a point where it becomes your whole identity. It's always just something that we did.
Sure. Right.
It's not who we are.
No,
it's never who we were.
Yeah. That is a great point, and maybe we can talk a little bit about that. So you coached Tony, and you were at South for 3 or 4 years, I think. And you said you've been coaching for 22 years.
Yep.
So let's start with some of we know that you coach Tony, and you're now in this place of coaching young kids. Where did you go after South?
So after South, I stayed at South. I still did some strength and conditioning there with the lacrosse team, and stayed there. And then I jumped up to my alma mater, Central Bucks East.
Got it.
Started doing the strength and conditioning there.
Yep.
Had a wonderful relationship. All those coaches up there, we've coached together for 8 years or so. Guys I had known. One of our coaches who was doing the offensive line, he just needed a little bit of help. So I initially just stepped in to kind of be his assistant offensive line coach.
Got it.
And just kind of help out when I could. And then that role grew from there as I did the strength coaching and things like that. He ended up taking a step back, and then I ended up taking over for the offensive line for the next 8 years or so.
Okay. And does that bring you up to the now, or was there like a gap and then you went back to East?
There was a little bit of a gap where I took about 2 years off where I was just training privately, right? I've always
training
trained
other clients.
Yeah, I've always trained.
Right. Yep.
I've always trained
gyms
athletes.
And stuff and,
And I always say I'm like the agnostic trainer. I don't care what school you go to, East, West, whatever, public leagues. Come on, if you're an athlete and you're willing to work, like let's get it, right?
Yeah.
We'll get
Sounds like somebody we know.
Right. So
What's up, Joe?
we'll get that in and we'll get you going. But again, anyone that wants to work, I'm willing to put in the time with it. So after a little bit of break, then I went back to coaching at East.
At East again. And you were doing strength coach and offensive line at that point?
Yep.
And then from that point pretty much to the current time?
To the current time.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And so topically, the relationship, your time at East has come to an end?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's
keep it simple that way. Knowing that you coach the offensive lineman, and I've been following you online, and look, man, you coach these athletes for a long time. I think you've called him your baby. He's at Alabama right now.
It's my guy, Michael Carroll.
Yeah, give him a shout out.
Big Mike, he knows it. He's my pride and joy. That kid, I met him. He was coming from LaSalle, and I've gotten the ability to have a really close relationship with his parents. His father's one of my best friends. And, I knew within 30 seconds of meeting Mike, like this was a kid, he just needed the right amount of coaching, and this kid is going to the NFL. And he has done more than I ever thought he would. He is an absolute savant.
Awesome.
I mean, this is a kid, I say he picked things up seamlessly. I mean, to start as a true freshman at Alabama at right tackle and to grade out the way that he did and to play the way he did, I'm so proud of him. He's doing everything right. He's doing everything right on the field. He's doing everything right off the field. So, as long as that young man stays healthy, the NFL is a surefire destination for him.
That's great.
2-3 years, Big Mike Carroll. Look for him.
Listen, Lane Johnson, I love you, Lane. You're back, but Eagles, bring my guy home. He's a perfect right tackle.
Yo.
Howie, come on, man.
Here we go. Let's make it happen.
Yep.
All right. So there's Mike. He's been coached my brother, coaching some savants, if you will.
Absolutely.
And
Studs.
Yeah, a couple beasts.
however, we also have another crossover. You and I are also entrepreneurs.
Yep.
You've been in that space for, it seems like your whole life.
Whole life. Yep.
And so if it's okay if I ask a little bit, was your family an entrepreneurs? Like, was that were you brought up that way? Or
Yeah,
like,
it's funny. So my father and mother met, and my father eventually got into a wholesale forklift business where that's what he was doing. He was selling heavy machinery. But initially, my father was a long haul trucker, and he was just driving these forklift trucks back and forth across the country, and invariably, by transporting them, he began to learn things about them, the finicky ways to start them, the things that were wrong with them, whatever. And one day, a surefire, right? He's with my mom in a 1-bedroom apartment, and all of a sudden, here comes my sister. So Dad's like, all right, well, I've got to do something more for my family. So he took the jump and decided this is what I'm going to do. So my father had an entrepreneurial spirit from right out of the gate, right? And he was a guy that kind of took the bulls by the horns. So growing up, I was someone that always just tried to keep my destiny in my own hand as much as I could.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Were you the youngest, the oldest? You had brothers and sisters?
No, I was the youngest. I'm the youngest of 4. Mom and Dad stopped when they got it right. I got 2 older sisters, an older brother. My older brother was 7 years apart from me, but we were very much like twins. It's odd, even with the 7-year difference. Like, look alike. I'm significantly better looking, but look alike, athletic, that kind of stuff. So very much brothers. And my oldest sister is 10 years above me, and my other mother is 3. So, but I'm the baby.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right, Mike. This is where the story's gonna turn a little
Crossovers.
Sure.
bit. It's gonna turn a little bit. Unfortunately, now. The other, he and I have so many goddamn parallels that it's almost disgusting. If you've been watching this podcast, if you watched any of them, you know that I lost my brother to suicide. And Mike coached my brother. Yeah. Actually, I do want to ask you this. How did you find out about that?
I got a phone call from, I believe it was actually one of the players who told me. And, initially it's like it's coming from a player. You got to fact check that because rumors get out quickly. Right. So initially it was the shock of, okay, let's hold on. But then the reality of that set in when I talked to the other coaches.
And the crossover here is Tony would come home every day that I had an opportunity to pick him up, and he would talk about Coach Moose and what he was doing in the weight room and lifting and the plays that they would run. And one day we were having a little bit deeper conversation than just football practice that day. And he just looked at me and he said, "Do you know what happened to Moose?" And I was like, "No, like what happened to him? He was at practice today. He's doing his thing." And he's like, "No, John, you don't understand. Like, do you know what happened to his family?" And I was like, "No, dude, I don't." And he told me. And I at that time, I didn't have the ability to process something like that.
Sure.
It sounded like a movie, like something so out of Hollywood, or somebody had scripted it or written it, not that it could be real. And so I went and I did my little bit of due diligence, and I found this article in a newspaper that kind of told me a little bit about what had happened. Yeah. Mike, what happened?
I talk about it openly and honestly. It's something that I think it's I can bring some awareness, I can bring some positivity out of a tragedy. But I'm a senior at Wake Forest University, everything's going great, preparing for, hopes of the NFL draft, getting ready to graduate, all those things. And, I was the All-American kid, right? Like we grew up in Bucks County. I'm going and playing football. Mom and dad are coming to the games. Everybody's supportive. It's about as good as it can get, right? My father and I spoke every Tuesday morning at 9:00, not 9:01, not 8:59, 9:00. Like when we were going to talk about tickets, how I played the night before, all those things. Right. So, this particular day, October 30th in 2001, 9:00 came and went, and I didn't receive a phone call. And I knew something was up, but I know that my parents had talked about my father and brother were going to go on a business trip that following Monday. So I thought, maybe a little disconnected. They got tied up, whatever. But I just had that weird feeling in my stomach. So I kind of went through the day. I hadn't heard from them. And then practice came. So I'm like, all right, well, I got to go to practice, right? So I went to practice, and that was it. After practice, I picked up, I had a voicemail from my brother-in-law, and just nonchalant, nothing alarming. He said, hey, I need you to call home. So when I called home, my sister answered the phone. She started to try to talk to me, and then she caught herself. She couldn't talk. She got upset, and I didn't quite know what was going on. So I initially kind of got annoyed, and I'm like, what's the problem? Yeah, what the hell's going on?
Please, I got practice or something, right?
Yeah. So then I talked to my brother-in-law, and he was like, listen, like everybody's gone. You got to come home.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm like, okay, everybody's gone. I got to come home. So what had happened, what I found out was, so my brother had a cocaine problem that he had been dealing with for several years. He had moved back home, had gone to rehab, was doing well. For all intents and purposes, everything was under control. He was living at home. Mom and dad were keeping an eye on him. I never put two and two together when he moved back home because the family kind of kept it from me for obvious reasons. I was graduating from Wake. I was getting ready. They didn't want a distraction. So they were like, mom and dad are getting older. Makes sense. He's going to be around. Take care of him. Okay. It's not something I thought about. So what happened was that particular night, he just ended up relapsing. He got, a dose that had some things in it that he was never used to. And my parents were upstairs asleep. My brother downstairs using drugs. He hears noises upstairs. The house is dark. He thinks there's an intruder. He's high as a kite, goes up with a gun, ends up taking both my parents' life, runs downstairs, crashes from all the drugs. The next day, that Tuesday, where I'm trying to speak to my father,
right.
The house phone's ringing. We're trying to figure out what's going on. No one's heard from him. We haven't heard from him. And, obviously he realized what he did, wrote a note, took his own life, and that was the end of it.
Jesus.
So that was midway through my senior season, 21 years old. I'm getting ready to graduate. I've got two sisters I've got to take care of. I've got my father's business I've got to take care of. I've got to handle all this at 21.
So you came home, you got on a plane. What were those moments like when you got home?
Thinking back now, they're a little bit of a blur. A lot of disconnect just into the reality of it. When it really set in for me, I had a couple of my closest friends meet me at the airport. We came home, and when I got back, I went to my sister's house. But I wanted to go to my parents' house. So I went there by myself, and there's a difference in the silence of a house when something like that happens.
Sure.
The house was dead too. And that's when it really hit me. Like all the happiness, the joy, the things that I would feel going up those driveways,
Sure.
it was just instantaneously gone. Like it was never there. So to walk into the house, it didn't feel like my house anymore. I felt like a stranger in another place. And that's where I was like, oh, wow. Like this is for real. And that was the first part that really kind of resonated with me, where it was, okay, this isn't just a bad dream.
Wow. Who were some of the first people that you other than your family and your brother and sister and your brother-in-law that you like? Was there anybody you reached out to that like
I mean,
you kind of were okay to tell, or you just weren't even in that place?
You know, I was really blessed because, you know, my teammates at Wake Forest gathered around me instantaneously,
right.
and they knew exactly what I needed. They knew, like, you know, when you walk into the cafeteria and everyone knows this happened to you, and I understand for everybody, like, they want to say the right thing. They want to be empathetic.
But it's uncomfortable. They don't
It's
know what to say.
uncomfortable as fucking hell, and
Yeah.
they don't know what to say, and they're so afraid to say the wrong thing, so it comes off as just awkward. And then you just, like, you walk in, there's thousands of kids, and you're like, God, I just hope it doesn't go quiet. Everyone stares at me. So, like,
And it's not like you're the easy guy that blends into the room.
right at the time, you know, I'm 6'7", 330 pounds, so I'm not.
Oh,
you
it's
know,
in there.
I'm not going to duck behind a kid. So, you know, I was really fortunate in that, you know, my teammates knew what I needed. They would gather around me and just kind of take me to a table. And if I sat quietly, they sat quietly. If I engaged, they engaged. They took
awesome.
what I gave them, and they knew this is what he needs. So for me, you know, that was a big deal. And, you know, the support of Wake Forest just as a whole. I mean, they flew any one of my team members that wanted to come up for the services and everything. I mean, Wake Forest chartered a jet and flew, I think, 60 of my teammates out, or however many of it, the head
amazing.
coach, the whole deal. I mean, they were whole team was at the services. So, you know, the Wake Forest family and community for me is a place that, you know, they're in my heart forever.
Absolutely.
Talk about a support network.
Yeah, and it's extended. I mean, even, you know, 20 years later, I still get calls and texts and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Mike, did you go right back to playing football though? Was it like next week you were in the game? Like, did you finish out the year? Clearly you did.
I took 3 weeks off.
3 weeks, okay.
To kind of get, you know, some things organized here and,
sure.
and all that kind of stuff. And then it was important to finish the commitment to Wake Forest because
Yes.
it just mattered to me. They were so supportive of me.
Yes.
And it was a couple of games ago, and I know it was going to be rough, but it was just something that I had to do.
Yep.
So, you know, I went back and I finished my last couple of games and graduated and had their support, and it was great. And I wouldn't have, you know, the options of not doing that, I vacillated and thought about it, but, you know, it was so close. And again, there's no reason to not finish what you'd started.
Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. Another reason, Tony, I know he loved you so much that even in your darkest time, you were thinking of those around you who were thinking of you, and you wanted to make sure you didn't let them down.
You know, that's you know, for me, that's one of the ways I kind of got through things. I talk to people often. You know, I talk about these things. It's really a selfish thing because I'm therapizing myself in a way by talking about this and talking to kids about it and talking to others about it. But, you know, it genuinely matters to me for people who go through things, because I've been at that point with this dysmorphic thinking where I've thought things are my fault that aren't my fault, right? I've beat myself up over things that are categorically like inappropriate, and I've held myself in these pain points, and I've elongated pain and suffering unnecessarily for no reason. Right. And, you know, I think oftentimes we all do that, and the answers, you know, people might not like them, but how to get out of those situations, they're actually quite simple.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is it's loving personal accountability, and you got to reach out for help. And that's the biggest mistake that I made, right? Like invariably when we go through something, we withdraw and we think we can handle it on our own, whether it's fear, whether it's ego, whatever it is. There's something, someone said something to you sometime that made you think you weren't worthwhile, so you're not going to ask for help. You know, and I've got guys here who, you know, have been friends of mine for 30 years, and they know it. Like, I should have reached out and asked them for help before, right? But I'm one of those guys that will suffer in silence until you get to a point where it's too much, and that's a mistake, right?
Right.
How you doing, John? Thank you for the opportunity to speak about my old teammate, Mike Moosbrugger. What it was like for him to be a teammate of mine. I'll just say I'm just glad that he was my teammate. Because if you know Mike, anybody listening to this, Mike is about, I don't know, 6'8". At the age of 15 when I met him, he was that height. And I'm going to say close to 300 pounds. So, playing defensive end and then, eventually being moved to linebacker, I would see him a lot if I played against him. And I definitely wouldn't want any of that. I don't want to wrestle with this big man-child for 4 quarters of football. But very hard worker, hilarious, great sense of humor. Real quick story, him and I we were both injured our junior years, injured our legs, so we spent a lot of time getting in the weight room, rehabbing and all that. And, I saw firsthand how hard of a worker he was. And, I always remember that, this dude is sitting here power cleaning with one leg, doing deadlifts and all that. So, but yeah, real good dude. Super happy he was on the same squad as me. And, definitely saw him pancake a few people. And, I'm just glad it wasn't me. But thank you for the opportunity. Moose, miss you, man. And I hope all is well.
So, I talk often to young athletes and the people when I have these kind of talks about not paying the dummy tax, right? Like, I've already done all this dumb shit. You don't need to do it again. Let me tell you how it's gonna work out for you. And let's save
give you the
that
Cliff's Notes version.
Right. Let me save you the bell curve, bro. You don't need to go through that pain and suffering like I did. Like, it's really not. There's no virtue in it, and you don't have to do that.
Right.
You don't have to do that.
Why did you do that then? Was it the time and the place we grew up in?
Some of it ultimately comes back, honestly, and it's crazy to say, but it was the dysmorphic conditioning as an offensive lineman. And what I mean by that is, like, as silly as it sounds, you're taught you have to protect your quarterback, you have to protect your running back, you have to be the guys that are always out there protecting everybody else on the team. So, when I was stuck in this trauma point at 21 years old, my identity was based as Mike Moosbrugger, the offensive lineman at Wake Forest. So the only thing I knew how to do was to protect everybody else. So it's just like, if you're in a game and you break your finger, it doesn't matter. Like, you gotta protect your quarterback, right? Like, as stupid as that sounds, but that mentality is what permeated into a lot of emotional pain and trauma for me, because when you do that, I think I mentioned this to you guys, what happens is, if I were to hand you a red and a yellow and a green ball of clay, and I had you roll it around in your hands for a second, and then I ask you to separate the colors, you can't do that. No. And that's what happens when you don't address things like the things that I did. So by me acting like that offensive lineman, yeah, it was really great for everyone around me, because I offered a lot of support and a lot of care and a lot of love, and they needed that. And I'm glad that I was there. And
you needed to do that probably too.
But it also left me empty because no one filled my cup.
Right. Which happens.
Yeah.
So here's a question, and like, this is going to steer it a little bit into a more of a mental headspace for you. So what you're saying is, like, you really fell back into that identity of, like, protect my people, protect all of that stuff. And did you have, during that time, were you feeling some of that, like, I wasn't able to protect?
Oh, yeah.
Like, and that, like, weighing down on you too, and, like, that causing a lot of that?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say for me, the biggest challenge that I have worked on over the past 20 years.
Because that would fuck with me.
Yeah.
Like, that, exactly the exact same thing.
100%,
right?
man. Like real talk. And people think it's crazy because people that know me, your canned answer initially is going to be like, Mike, come on. But there's still part of me that always blames myself for that situation, because when I look at this, if anyone else were to tell me about a situation with a loved one of theirs, I would pick it out in 5 seconds and be like, "Yeah, he's on drugs. Get him checked." But with my own brother, I never saw it when it was right in front of my face.
It's your big brother, right? Like,
And there's an egotistical element of it to me where, you know, I've said it before, where like if I knew, this wouldn't have happened, right? Which isn't true,
Right.
And it's a horrible thought process, right? And it's one that's taken me a long time to really get away, because it's such dysmorphic thinking, and really where it comes from, it just comes from processing that pain. It's trying to find an answer to it and trying to make sense of it. So if I can put it on myself, at least that's some
carry
semblance of a control.
Yeah, I can carry this.
Right?
I'm bigger than everybody else. I'll protect everybody. I'll just carry it. Like,
100%. When the answer really is just, it had to happen for a reason, something bigger than me, and that's what it was. And, you know, one day I'll figure out what it was, but it's certainly not going to be while I'm here.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I think for myself. Like, I have stopped searching for that answer, and I focus more on processing.
awesome. Thank you.
Jesus, man. When I lost Tony, I'll be honest with you, I was angry at him.
Sure.
I was really mad.
Yep.
I was like, how the fuck could you do that to us, dude?
Yeah.
How the fuck could you leave us alone?
Yeah, it's a selfish thing.
And were you mad at your brother?
You know, I've talked about it over the years, and the God's honest truth, John, like, there's never been a day that I've been angry at him.
I believe you.
And I'll tell you why. I figured out it, like, as I've looked through kind of the timeline of how things have happened, I know he had about 4 hours between when he realized what he did and when he took his own life. So if I do, and I try not to, but if I think about those 4 hours for him,
The worst fucking 4 hours you could
like,
possibly have.
I'll take 10 lifetimes of agony over that. Like, no one suffered like my brother.
Right.
Just like the suffering that I felt it's nothing.
Yeah.
So sadness is what I felt for him. And anger towards myself. Like, damn, he needed you.
Right.
Right? For me, that was the crux of, like, that cross that I carry is, wow, like, if I just could have talked to him, do you know what I mean? Like, if he just wasn't, and I love him, but if he just weren't so egotistical, right? Because that's really what it was. Like, he was just embarrassed. He thought I would judge him or whatever the case. Like, just a little bit. We maybe could have had a different outcome, but sadness for him because he was alone.
Yeah.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's hard.
Okay.
He spent that last few hours like alone thinking about that, like that talk about like distilled pain, like all coming at you at one time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Man.
Yep. So I couldn't, you know, and I've been asked that question a lot, and I understand why people would initially say, like, oh, you've got to be angry at him, but when you think about it in that context, like, how can you be?
Right.
How can you be? I really believe this, you know, in terms of my brother, in terms of your brother, in terms of even myself, like, people that have committed suicide or have tried to commit suicide or have had the issues, like, if you successfully do it, like, I categorically believe wherever we go next, within 5 seconds, you're like, oh, man, I didn't mean to do that.
Right.
Damn it.
Yep.
Right.
It wasn't that I wanted.
Right.
Right.
What did I want?
What you wanted
Stop
was the pain to stop. That's all it was. It just got to a point where it was so overwhelming in that particular instance, you just wanted it to stop.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Thank you for explaining that.
Absolutely, man.
Thank you for
Yeah, and thanks for having those responses and being comfortable with that.
It's important for people to hear, I think, because again, like I've caused a tremendous amount of undue suffering for myself
Yeah.
with that dysmorphic thinking. And there's no reason to do that to yourself. Like these things, life is hard enough, right? So we don't need to add on to it. You know what I mean? These things are going to happen, but you know, invariably, they do happen for a reason. We're probably not going to find out why when we're here,
Right.
but you got to trust in something greater than yourself that knows better and is wiser than us, that there's a purpose for it.
Okay, well then let's turn now because I think we need that. What were some of the dumbass things that you did that you know you shouldn't have been doing unnecessarily?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing, you know, anytime you're going through an emotional pain and you're trying to numb that out with, you know, pharmaceutical meds, that's a huge mistake, right? Like,
Are we talking like antidepressants or
no, painkillers, those sorts of
Gotcha.
things. Anytime
Okay.
you're
Yep.
practicing, anytime you're using anything like that, the practice of avoidance, you got a problem.
Okay.
Right. So, you know, I've talked openly about that where, you know, that's something that, you know, avoiding my shit, you know, early on when I was in my 20s, I just wasn't, it was funny. I was overly mature because of what I had to go through with my family, but I was also invariably very immature because when something like that happened, like it was my parents, it was my brother, it like almost rocketed me back to
It forced
childhood.
you all back, yeah.
Right.
It forced
You know
it
what I mean?
right
How
could
onto
it
you,
not?
yeah.
Because they were all gone, and now I'm like, oh shit, I'm the youngest kid again. Like I'm a kid again, right? And now I don't have any help.
And I
No
don't have
support.
anybody to lean on.
Right. So it's, you know, those areas, the big mistake that I made was not asking for help. And as I got through that process, you know, I had developed another sort of version of myself, just one that was generally, I'm a big kid, right? Anyone that knows me, I pretty much laugh around and don't take too many things seriously. And I like to have fun and I'm generally lighthearted. I'd gotten to a point where there just wasn't a lot of smiling. There wasn't a lot of laughing around. It was very stoic. And I was concentrating so hard on keeping those things inside, right? Those things
Right.
that I felt because I was afraid of them. I didn't want them to come out. I didn't want to be judged by other people. You know, I didn't want people to think that I was soft or weak or anything because I was still playing
forbid.
football,
Yeah.
right? I didn't want people to think that I needed help, right? I mean, there was all sorts of things that were through my head. I mean, I didn't want to talk about it because I'm like, well, a team's going to hear about this and no one's going to want to sign me because they think I have mental problems.
Right.
And, you know, like it was from a career standpoint, from a
You were looking at
relationship
different
standpoint,
things, yeah.
from everything. And I'm like, you know, how do I can't practice avoidance, right? Because it's everywhere, but I just don't want to deal with it. And, you know, in not dealing with it, that's the mistake because as I go back to that analogy, the clay I gave you, when you push those things down, somewhere along your life, they're going to come back. Right. They're going to manifest somewhere, right? And then what happens is you're going to be in a really good place. You're going to be doing well. And these past traumas are going to come back and they're going to shit on everything
Yes.
good that you love. And you're going to go, like, why is this happening? And like,
I didn't deal with my shit.
correct. Because that happened when you were 13, bro. And now you're 46.
So I want to pause it for just a second here. And like, we're in this headspace of like early 20s,
Yep.
right? That just happened. I have to assume or presume anyway that you were carrying a bunch of that mashed up clay feeling into your professional football career.
Yep.
How did that play out in that place?
You know, for me, I've talked about it to a couple people privately, but I remember in my first CFL game, you know, they play the Canadian national anthem and they play the American national anthem. I look it up in the American national anthem. And I just happened to look up in a stadium that's full of all seats. And the first thing I see is 3 seats in a row empty. And it just, yeah.
Yep.
I think realistically, that's probably the moment I broke from football. I mean, I definitely got hurt, you know, and had those things and those things. But after that, just the will to do it, I was searching for it. It wasn't there. It just kind of broke me. You know, it didn't make sense without them there, because it was such a big part of everything that I had done. You know, I mean, I laugh all the time in a 100,000, you know, seat stadium. I mean, I can tell you, I could absolutely pick my mother's voice out yelling at me. just know, like Michael, apologize. Michael! Yeah, like don't do that, or you know, like I could absolutely pick it out, no question. So, but that realistically, that was probably the end right there. You know, it that one was rough.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a great fucking question. Yeah.
Yeah. I was in Winnipeg. I was by myself. Like I had to go back and process that.
Mike.
And
how old were you at that point? Like how long after all of this?
24
stuff?
years old.
Okay.
So, you know, and it was good. Like Winnipeg was great. They treated me very well. I was staying in a nice hotel, like right next to the stadium. They were taking good care of me. But like I had to go back to the hotel room by myself and just process that.
Right.
And I had no idea how to process that. Right.
That's
24 years old,
Right.
living in a place that's not close to anybody you know, like any of that.
And I'm not going to, you know, like, it's different. Your teammates are up there, and your teammates, and they're your guy. Like one of my closest teammates, I still talk to him, Mike Sellers. Shout out to Mike. I love you, bro. But, you know, it's just not something you talk about. You know what I mean? Especially not at that point in time.
Right. You're like, hey, you want to hear some stuff? Like, oh,
yeah.
God.
Like, hey, you want to hear about the national anthem that just broke me?
It just broke me in half, bro.
Right.
Now, where we getting beers
And
tonight?
we got a game. Like, we got another game. Like,
Exactly.
we got to keep a game face on
Come
here,
on,
bro.
Moose.
Like, what's up?
Yeah. Okay. So you realized then when you saw the 3 seats, it broke you a little bit. Was that the first year you were there? The second year you were there? The first game you were there? Like when did that happen?
That was my first year that was there.
And
So,
you still stuck it out for like, so it was like it happened and your subconscious must have knew it, but it just took a little time to catch up consciously.
yeah.
And kind of unwind
It's
itself.
like one of those things with me. Like I knew, like it was there, but you know, I'm like a dog.
elephant was in the room,
Yeah, I'm
you
just
just
gonna
weren't
keep. I'm just
addressing
gonna
it.
keep going until it doesn't make sense.
Did staying longer did you have your you said you had an injury? Did that happen after that point? Like
It was the second year I had the point, and then
what was the injury? If you don't mind me asking.
So you know, freak thing, but just on an interception, I ran a guy down, pulled a bunch of rib cartilage, and broke a set of ribs. If you ever had it,
Okay.
horribly uncomfortable.
Right.
Little intubation into the lung, and you know, it took about 10 months to kind of really like settle, get back in shape, and all those things. If you've ever hurt your ribs, there's not much you can do. You just got to wait.
Hurts to breathe.
And at that point, it just, you know, running into guys my same size sort of took the appeal away. I'd been away from it for almost a year. Again, now we're now post. They're not there.
Right.
You know, I'd been engaged at the time. I ended that. Like football was ending. Identity was ending. I was injured. You know, so this was just this was a big time of like just kind of wiping everything clean.
All right.
How did you make from everything ending and you saw it ending? How did the start of like coaching come? Then did somebody reach out to you? Did you reach out? What was?
Yeah. So the from the end of my football career, you know, the thing that really changed me was, and got me into coaching was, you know, as I got that, I'm recovering, right? Recovering from broken ribs. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life. Football is over, right? I'm going through my own struggles. You know, I'm despondent about my parents, all these things, right? So I get to a point where, you know, I just think it's time for me to not be here anymore, right?
Yeah.
So
It's a logical progression of that.
right, and you know, painkillers are pretty easy. I'm popping those like Tic Tacs, and
Was that because of the injury?
yeah. So I started there.
That was a
and-
question.
Right. I started there, and you know that was the impetus to get them.
Sure.
But then the real reason was to just numb
Keep going. Yeah.
all the shit that I had pushed down.
Was that the first time in your life where you had something external that allowed you to kind of push it away far enough that you didn't have to deal with it?
Yeah, because I was never, you know, like
You didn't do that as
yeah,
a
it was not
17,
my
18,
not my thing.
right,
No,
so-
none of that stuff. And I just wanted to be numbed out. I just didn't want to feel it.
Yeah, no
anymore.
deal or whatever.
I just didn't want to feel it anymore.
Yep.
So, that progressed, and, I became the best quiet functioning addict that, nobody knew. You know what I mean? Like that was all day. And that led to one day I just decided, like, I just don't want to be here anymore.
Right.
Much like my brother felt, much like Tony felt.
Right.
And, I wrote a note and I said, this is what I'm going to do. And took my gun and pulled the trigger, and nothing happened. And the magazine had fallen out of the gun. Mm-hmm. So I have no recollection of maybe like hitting the eject button, which I very well could have. I understand that. Maybe I didn't put it in all the way. But
didn't engage it. Like didn't
right.
put it
There's a couple of different things. I don't cognitively remember doing that. Like I felt in the moment, and I recall this back to you, like I was ready to go. Right. And then I sat there and everything just hit me. I cried like a baby till the next morning, dumped everything down a toilet, and like a dumbass, I decided to detox myself on the bathroom floor by myself for about 6 or 7 days. No pun intended. That was pretty sobering. Yeah. But I found myself on the bathroom floor, and, I just kind of picked it up and started going from there. And, as I've talked about that, like even with the painkillers and things like that, like I'm not someone that has a addictive personality, right? Like I could stop whatever it was. I just didn't want to feel.
Yep.
Like it was, I'm sure that obviously, my body had some of the pharmacology it needed because it was, there was some sort of clinical addiction, but it wasn't hard for me necessarily to stop that. It was, what was hard for me was the feeling. That was the hardest part for me. Yeah. All through my 20s and my early 30s, like just learning to be comfortable in my skin was a process.
Okay.
Yeah. And coaching has been something that, it's helped me. So that's why I think I resonate well with kids, because I talk to them like they're kids, right? Like I speak their language. I tell them how stupid they are when they say the stupid shit that they say, right? And I'm like, that's stupid. Like, just so you know,
don't do that.
Yeah, that's stupid. Like I already did that, so don't do it,
yeah.
right? And it's just they listen. I'm not saying anything different than I'd say it all the time. I get way too much credit. I'm not saying anything different than mom and dad are doing.
But you're not mom or dad.
I'm not mom or dad,
yeah.
And I'm just saying it in a way that's a little bit more lighthearted. And they're like, all right, this guy has had some shit happen to him.
Maybe he's
right, right. The real
maybe
secret,
he knows something.
Right. The real secret to all this, we're all fucked up. Everybody's fucked up.
Hey,
so just choose whatever message resonates with you,
Yeah.
and go with it. Because we're all saying the same thing, man.
Right.
Yeah. Do you think that maybe there's a part of you that resonates so much with these young kids because what you're saying to them is what maybe you wish had been said to you when you were that 21 or 22-year-old kid?
Oh man, yeah. There's so many things that
Like you're speaking to yourself almost.
Yeah, from a life advice, like this is why I don't lose touch with my guys. Like I was talking to one of them the other day at 5 o'clock in the morning who I coached 6 years ago. He's just having a struggle. Talked to another one I coached 12 years ago. Right. He's talking about kids. So I don't lose touch with my guys. It's important for them that they know that I'm there, even, it might just be 4 years that you played for me, but like, I got you. If that's what you need.
Moose, what's going on, big dog? I just wanted to put a little video together for you to say how much I appreciate your friendship and your mentorship over the years, whether it was yelling at me on the football field back in high school or more recent conversations around mental health. You've had a huge impact on my life, and I just wanted to say thank you for that.
I look back, and it really wasn't anyone's fault. Like when I was 21, that I had access to everything that I needed. I didn't take advantage of it because I was in a pain point where I wasn't ready to accept it. I was either too egotistical or I was too ashamed, or I wanted to give the facade that I was okay because it hurt so much that I really just didn't want people to know that I was dying inside. So it wasn't a lack of opportunity or people caring about me or looking for me. It was really just a lack of my humbleness to accept the help.
Right. Or to ask for it.
So then looking kind of 30,000 foot view at yourself in that situation. Is there anything anybody could have said to kind of rattle you a little bit and pull you out, or it just you had to get to the point where you had suffered so much that you were done suffering?
You know, there's one of my best mentors is David Meltzer, and Dave always knows. He's one of my best friends. We've been friends for 20 years. He's given me a lot of things. One of the best things he ever said to me that it resonates with me all the time. I say it to others, but I say it to myself all the time. Is he reminds me to be kind to my future self, and that's always been, you know, sort of a problem for me. Like the dysmorphic holding myself accountable for things that just aren't in my control.
And he said that to you when you were young, 22, 23,
I'd
24?
met Dave right when I was about 30 years old. So, you know, we're going on 16, 17 year relationship. Dude. So
okay.
when he said that, I was really in the throes of, I'd started therapy and I was talking to somebody, and, you know, someone had finally actually like earned my respect. So I would listen to him, and I was done kind of like screwing around with the therapist and messing with them. And I'm like, okay, this guy will work with me. Let's see if we can unpack some of this stuff. Right.
So that's a fucking great segue. Did you start with therapy? Like
Nope.
after you detox? Yeah. Okay. So what did you start with after detoxing and
So
whatever?
I started with therapy, but I started kind of fucking with therapists, because what I found with therapy was people would come in and they'd say the worst things to me. They would say, I know how you feel.
Oh, shit.
And I would instantly get defensive and say, cool, tell me how your brother murdered your parents and himself.
Got it.
And they would start stumbling, and I would instantly shut down, and it was kind of a dick. And then the one gentleman that I met, he just kind of listened. And when I would push back, he didn't push back on me. He just listened. And there'd be times where he would just sit there and wouldn't say shit for 10 minutes. And it was okay. And he eventually slowly kind of broke down under my trust. And from that point on, I mean, that was my guy. We made leaps and bounds in terms of processing the dysmorphic thinking and, you know, the things that I'd put in my head that weren't true. But, you know, it took a good probably 3 months of kind of wasted sessions and sitting there and those things. And, you know, so I'm grateful to him for his patience, because, you know, he very easily could have said, look, this isn't worth my time. Right. But he stayed with me, and he continued to push, and he knew exactly. He's one of the people I say all the time, like, I let him, he can say things to me that nobody else can say to me.
Okay. So there's a theme that just came out for me there. You weren't ready at 21, 22, 23. Nothing anybody said would have pulled you out of it.
Probably not.
And you got to the point where you knew the pain you were in was no good anymore. So you decided to start to look for it, and you started to fuck with people, because really sounds like you were searching to make sure that they could accept your vulnerability.
Yeah, it's
to make a space for it.
It's more so I was so damaged. And
is that your word?
Yeah.
Okay.
Damaged and scared, because when you're at that point, I couldn't handle another betrayal.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
That's kind of the best way to put it. So,
that's
like,
fucking real.
When you think about, you know, a therapist or a coach or things like that, like it's the ultimate trust, right? And that really, you know, at the end of the day, when you look at the situation with my brother, that's really what it was. So that was the problem for me. Like, I knew one more of those, I probably wouldn't bounce back.
The magazine wouldn't fall out next time.
You got it. Yeah. They're just that was one thing. Like, I knew very, very clearly, like, I can't let that happen.
Right.
That'll break me.
Okay.
That'll break me.
But you were looking for it, and that man gave you enough space for you to kind of rail against him a little bit and be seen as the wounded animal that you really were.
He let me feel it in a comfortable place without
judgment. Sounds like
judgment, but also without solving it either. And I think this is what it's for.
Yeah.
He just let me be, and he let me be in a place where it could be whatever it needed to be. Some days it needed to be angry. Some days it needed to be funny.
Yep.
Some days it needed to be sad. But whatever it needed, he allowed it to be versus trying to force it to be something that it wasn't.
Okay. Okay.
Fair enough.
All right. So if we're going to put together like a blueprint for people to not suffer unnecessarily,
Yeah.
what does that look like? Like, because nobody's going to tell you what to do. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. Nobody's going to tell him what to do. We had to be ready. We had to search for it and then allow it to happen. So I've learned, you ever read the book, The Body Keeps the Score?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the 3 avenues to start healing trauma, bottom up, which is like physical processing. So weightlifting, yoga, get your body moving. If you can't talk about it, take a walk, do
Absolutely.
something, get it moving through you. Some people can't even do that, but they're ready to talk about it. So that's top down,
Yeah.
like cognitive processing.
Yep.
They just need to speak. They need somebody to talk to them. But then if those things don't work, there can be that medically managed middle.
Absolutely.
A pharmaceutical, a psychedelic, a message on a T-shirt that makes you feel good. Of those avenues, it sounds like you did all of them. What was the order?
You know, when I look at it, I think it's what I would suggest now versus what I suggest then are two different
Suggest
things.
now.
What I would suggest
Perspective.
with now having gone through it, one of the first things that I would do whenever we are dealing with anything that is deemed mental health, right?
Okay.
The absolute first line of defense should be blood work. And I say that because if we think about this, okay, we go and we talk to these physicians, and great, you've done a great job. I respect what you do. However, what diagnostic tool are they giving you to dictate that, yeah, you should be on this psychedelic? They're asking questions.
Yep.
It's not very diagnostic.
No.
Not from a physiological standpoint where you're going to put someone on an SSRI, you're going to put someone on something. What if they're just not processing B vitamins and that's why they're anxious? Or what if their testosterone is low and that's why they're depressed? Or what if this hormone's off? So, I think first and foremost, comprehensive blood work should be the very first line of defense in all mental health. We're too quick to run the pills.
Okay.
And I've learned it myself because I was quick to run the pills, and guess what happened? It caused fucking avoidance, right? So let's not do that. So first things first, let's go get blood work and let's see, are we having a physiological issue or, right, are we having a psychological
right.
issue? Those are two very different things that need to be treated very different ways. Secondly, and this is the biggest one, and it's the hardest one, is we have to ask for help. You have to ask for help. If you could do it on your own, you'd already be healing, right?
Right.
And you're never going to be able to see the forest through the trees, and you're not going to be like, I didn't realize how bad I was doing until other people showed me how bad I was doing. So, even if you think you're doing well, it's your brain messing with you, right? It's taking the easy way out.
Telling you
it's
stories.
telling you
Yeah,
stories.
we're doing fine. Look
Right.
at all the stuff
Today's
we're
a great
accomplishing.
day.
Yeah.
We'll put it off tomorrow. It'll be fine.
I'll be all
no,
right.
no. You absolutely have to ask for help. And the third thing, and it really ties back to the second, so what makes it so hard? Somebody's going to help you. This is where I see it with young athletes all the time. It's this fear that literally no one is going to help them because they've either asked for help in the past and someone didn't, or they asked for help and they didn't get it in the fashion that they needed, so they think they can't get it.
Correct.
But you have to ask for help.
I'm not able to be helped. Right?
Exactly.
I already asked once and it never happened, so I
Correct.
can't be helped now.
And it's a problem, particularly in young people today, because a lot of it has to do with society, right? We're used to everything's happened quickly, right? Instantaneous response, DoorDash, all those things. So
We
if
can
they
get
feel
Amazon
bad,
today if we need it.
right? So I need my depression to be fixed today.
And that's the word. Fixed. Fix my shit.
Right. Fix it because I want to go and do this other
Don't make
thing,
space
and I don't want
for
this
it.
bothering
Just
me.
give me a thing that fixes it so that I can move on.
Right.
And we both have learned that Obviously, that doesn't happen.
No.
And a big part of this podcast, I mean, it's literally called Bear It All because, well, Mike, you say selfishly having these conversations helps you.
Yeah.
It helps me too. So it's not that selfish. I feel selfish when I have these conversations too, because honestly, I love doing this to the point where like one of the best parts of my week is sitting here having really fucking fucked up, challenging, hard conversations.
Sure.
Because I know that it makes me feel better.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel less alone.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel like somebody out there went through something similar. I know that not anybody could go exactly through what John Bear went through. I don't know exactly what Jeremy Palmer went through. I sure as fuck don't know what Mike Moosbrugger actually went through, but there's parallels that we can feel and understand there. And if we can at least come together top down and start working this way, this is a healing force as well.
Sure.
And then what we're doing to share it with the others out there, maybe they can't even talk to somebody, but we can send this to them in their space and give them some hope and then a way to start moving forward and come out and find the ways that you're talking about.
For sure. I mean, it's for anybody out there that's going through something, like you just, again, find the message that resonates with you and lean into it, right? We're all saying ostensibly the same thing. We're all giving the same advice. So whatever story, whatever podcast, whatever lineage it is that resonates, just lean into that, right?
Yep.
And there's a bevy of information out there today. Like I think honestly, there's no excuse to not work on self-improvement. There's so many things that are available for free out there. Yeah. It's really just taking the first step. And I get it's overwhelming too to shift through the minutia. There's so much of this. They're being hit from so many different angles. But again, if you really break down like the things that I'm saying, everyone else is saying, I'm saying everything that everyone else is saying. It's all the same process because at the end of the day, we're all the same people hurtling through the same issues, the human condition, all those things.
1,000%.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a great, the way you said it too, find the message that resonates with you.
Yeah, that's it.
I.e. the medicine, which could be part of your healing. So when somebody's speaking, if it feels good, what are they about? Lean into it. Like go find out more about them. At the very least, it takes you out of your suffering.
Absolutely.
And towards something that feels a little better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I one thing I've learned, particularly on this journey is that you have to opt for happiness. Life is not set up for you to just invariably be happy, right?
It's not.
We're gonna,
That sucks.
we got so many issues. I mean, you look at the world today, it is not a nice place at all, right? So we've got to wake up every day and we've got to choose what to be happy about. Another one of my great quotes from Meltzer that has stuck with me forever and I use all the time is, there's no bad days. There's just bad moments of great days. Right. Like no matter what, even on your worst day, like I think back October, 30th, 2001, I could have been by myself. I had all my teammates there, right? So there's always a positive, even in the darkest day. Like it could always have been worse than it was. So the simple act of just practicing gratitude goes a really, really, really long way in healing.
Let's give that space. Cool. Here's what we're going to do. We've just covered a lot of heaviness. I have thousands of questions I could ask Mike and literally just like keep him here for a really long time just to talk about selfishly things that I want to talk about. If there's any with what happened with him growing up with his family, with what he has gone through, and we're still going to talk more, but if there's any questions that you guys have that I haven't asked, please put them in the comments for Mike and I'll make sure that he sees them. Yeah. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to slightly shift because you have given us a few really good tent poles right there.
Sure.
Therapy, gratitude, mentors,
Asking for help,
building a support system when yours has been taken away from you.
Yeah.
Which has led you into this part of your life where you're coaching these young kids. And we talked about it topically. You're an entrepreneur. So this has led to, what's the business you're in now? 92.5% of the people who watch this show have not yet subscribed. That is not okay on the I Am Not Okay channel. If we are going to grow and change the way that life is done, we need you to speak up, step up, and show up. And that starts with hitting the subscribe button. And if you're able, please comment, like, and share any and all episodes.
We're going from coaching, young kids to coaching, young men and men on, health and hormone optimization, right?
Okay.
Like we have a massive epidemic going across the United States right now with health and wellness. It is incontrovertible, right? From the nonsensical food pyramid to all the other nonsense that's going on out there. So on the entrepreneurial side,
Right.
myself and my partners have gotten involved in the TRT space where we are working with Game Day Men's Health.
For those that don't know, Mike, TRT, what is TRT?
Testosterone replacement therapy.
Got it. Cool.
So we are looking at optimizing your testosterone long-term for anti-aging effects. So when I look at this, there's all sorts of things. People hear TRT and the first thing they hear is testosterone, steroids. Okay. So let's correct everybody. Okay. Testosterone is not a steroid. Testosterone is a hormone. It is a male hormone. Okay. Everyone has it. Estrogen is a female hormone. Everyone has it. All three of us have it.
Yeah.
Right. So testosterone, not a steroid, hormone, male hormone. Let's get that out of the way. Done. So
Major building block.
that being said, as we look at, all kidding aside, as we look at the nature of what's happening across America right now, like we are seeing the absolute decline of masculinity in terms of what we've known it to be. There is just not the drive. We're seeing medically testosterone levels that are lower than they were in the 70s. It's insane. As I look at this from someone who's coached young men for 22 years, right? I've seen the progressional decline of kids who were naturally more muscular, naturally leaner, naturally earlier, more developed. And now I can look at them, they're pre-diabetic, they're estrogenic. Like growing up, we used to go to the pool. We all know, I'm not teasing, but let's call it like it is. There were like one or two kids that wouldn't take their shirt off at the pool, right?
I was one of them.
Now it's 85% of the kids won't take their shirt off at the
Swim
pool.
shirts are like the usual,
Right.
like the normal.
So I see this in the boys declining and literally looking less like men and more asexual every day. And then I see the girls who were 15, 16, and they look like they're 18, 19, and 20 years old.
Right.
And now you have this huge shift where no one knows what to do. The boys are completely insecure. They don't know what to do. The girls are aggressive. It's a mess. But we are seeing this across the board. I'm 46 years old. So in our game day business, we're seeing everybody from people in their 20s to people in their 60s and everybody in between dealing with low testosterone, erectile dysfunction, weight loss, exhaustion, and they don't even know why. They're doing things right. They're working out. They're sleeping. They're just, man, I don't know what happened. I came home today and I'm yelling at my kids in the middle of the afternoon. I don't do that.
Right.
And what we're finding is massive hormone imbalances across the board. And, people will argue, and that's fine. We live in a world where we can argue, but there's facts and, there's arguments, right? The simple fact is our food is being poisoned. Our water is being poisoned. Like the environmental conditions we are living in make this impossible to be hormonally healthy without some sort of guidance. And what I see nowadays, the problem with the TRT space and the hormone clinic space, and why I like Game Day and what makes us different, we have labs on site. We take a comprehensive approach to your health versus just running one biomarker and putting you on testosterone. It's not the answer for everything, right? Like we're looking at your long-term health, what best suits you from now until the end of your days to optimize you. Not jack your testosterone up high as could be. And what's happening now, we have all these influencers on Instagram and social media, and I don't begrudge anybody. Like, make your money. I get it. But be honest, right? Because people are seeing this and they're thinking, oh, that's TRT. No, it's not. That's steroids and lighting and AI, right? Like, so we need to get to a point where we're educating people, because people are very, very uneducated about the nature of hormones and what's happening. And as myself and my partners see this in the game day business, I mean, Game Day is the largest men's clinic across the country right now, about 1,000 locations set up, 500 are opened. We do a really unique job in how we operate and how we look at it, and we take that holistic approach, which is different than many others.
Okay. So, Game Day, Men's Health. We take a comprehensive approach to men's health, making sure that you can combat the environment that we're in that is set up to not see us win.
Completely.
So the help that you're saying that we might suggest, is that always going to be in the form of like a hormone replacement? Or is like, what does that look like?
In some cases it may be.
Yeah.
The thing about Game Day, which is great, you come into our clinics, you'll see it is not the traditional doctor's office. While we have all those labs on site, we make it very lounge worthy for guys. ESPN's on the screen. There's snacks. We want you to feel comfortable, right? Yeah. Look, let's call it like it is. We don't go to the doctors. Right?
Nah, we do not like we should.
Until something is wrong, we're not going to go out there. So we want this to be a place where you feel welcome. You come in. It's not overly aggressive. It's not something that's going to cause anxiety. And it's a place, again, guys don't want to talk about, hey, are you having hormone issues? Are you having erectile dysfunction? Right. That word right there. Right. Say those two words right there. Forget it, right? Everybody's literally, their stomach literally, all of our stomachs just dropped as soon as I said that, right? But it's okay. Like it is a major issue that we need to talk about, and we can fix very easily as well. So from the Game Day model, we start with addressing you from a hormonal standpoint.
Got it.
Right? So once we get the body optimized, then we can look at other avenues. Adjuncted Game Day, my partners and I have something else coming out on testosterone.org website, where this is going to be the foremost mentioned testosterone website on the internet. It's number one. It is going to be all educational based. We're going to dispel all the bullshit that people like to say about testosterone, what's true, what's not true. Okay. We're going to bring in diet. We're going to bring in health and wellness, functional wellness, mental health. So this will be, look at it as the Amazon for health and fitness and longevity, right? We're going to be a one-stop shop where you can go and get information, clinically backed, not bro science, right? Clinically backed information on these are the treatments that are available for you. Okay. And I think education right now in that space, it's the biggest thing that I see that's lacking. There's some companies that are doing a wonderful job of it, but when you look at hormones, you look at peptides, it's really the Wild West right now. There's a new peptide coming out every day. I love peptides. I'm a fan. I've used them myself. But we got to be careful about, I made this peptide last week and it works this. Nah, bro.
Hold up.
Let's slow up a little bit.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely. Yes. And so because of that, there is a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of just information about these things, but there's also not a lot of information on what to do with that information. True. Specifically regarding like myself. And you're suggesting comprehensive blood work. We need to start somewhere. Completely. Stop going and throwing Skittles at the wall and hoping fucking things work. Start with inside out and see where you're at, and then you at least have a game plan and you can move forward.
It's so important, and I've talked this with athletes and people who've asked, like, it's so important to feel your feelings, but realize just because we feel something doesn't make it real. Right. So when you look at it from a diagnostic standpoint, I really think if we're going to try to better ourselves, to your point, John, let's look at it from the inside out and start there, right? Like modern medicine today, a lot of respect for physicians. God bless you. You guys are great. You do a good job, but come on, like it's crap. Like it's an absolute joke. The experiences in modern medicine today are shameful. I can go for hours about what I've been dealing with over the past 2 years, right? And again, it's not a criticism. I get it. It's really the nature of how the system is set up. But the system is not set up to get you better. The system is set up to keep you moderately sick and buying pills for a long time, from the food to the water to everything in between. So when we look at it diagnostically, men are running around feeling like shit right now. They go to their primary physician, they get blood work done, and I hear the kiss of death. Well, you're in range. That's great, bro. That range is from 18 to 80. You're 35 years old and you've got the testosterone of a baby chick. No wonder you feel like death, right? And then they're talking about, well, let's put you on Lexapro and let's put you on this and let's put you on that. He doesn't need any of those things.
Based on what?
He needs a little shot of testosterone and he will sleep better. Oh, and that so-called, you can get diabetes, that's going to be gone. Oh, and the risk of cardiovascular disease, that's going to go down too. And we can go on and on and on about the benefits of testosterone. Yeah. And no, it's not going to turn you into a rage-filled juice monster. Like, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, right? It's just, it's laughable. But again, it's the fear-mongering, it's the misinformation that's out there.
So you're telling me if I shoot myself with TRT, I won't just get muscles, I have to still do the work?
It's a novel idea, but here's the thing, and I hate to break everybody's bubble. It's not
what I want to hear.
It's not a magic pill. It's not a magic pill. And, if we want to talk about magic pills, you really get me started. This is why the pharmaceutical industry, right, grabbed all the GLP-1s. Because what could be better than to sell laziness in a shot?
Hey!
Oh!
Right? You can change absolutely nothing about what you're doing and continue to sit on the couch and continue to eat like shit and do nothing and just take this shot and you're going to lose weight. By the way, it's also going to cause all these problems, but you'll be skinny.
You'll be skinny.
I could eat 2,100 calories of Reese's peanut butter cups.
Right.
1,000%.
And you're good to go.
Good to go. Like, I'm still going to lose weight.
And
absolutely.
Listen, I think it's a wonderful tool. I've used it as a tool.
Yes.
A tool.
Yeah.
To help people. But again, it's so easy to see, right? Any time there's the ability to circumvent hard work and accountability, people are going to flock to it.
And somebody's always going to make a thing for them to buy, for them to flock to that.
100%.
Why not?
So what I'm seeing is, and I know you see it, I see it, your friends here see it. It doesn't work. Not in the long term. In the short term, it might make you feel a little better momentarily. Mm-hmm. It never leads to the result, which is you feeling like you have control of your health, but you don't because you're always outsourcing that to something or someone that you have to take or do instead of learning from the inside out how you can start to change your own physiology.
It's a really scary time because you can't take what doctors say as gospel anymore, right? And it used to be that way. They were learned, trusted individuals that had your best advice.
Doc said, do it. This is what I got to do.
Dealing with a health issue when I went into the ER with a blood pressure at 215 over 112, and the recommendation was sleepy time tea. That was about it for me with, the traditional medical sense. I mean, it's just mind-boggling. Yeah. And I get it. They're grasping at straws. Yeah. But it's not set up as a system for us to be healthy. It's a system that is set up to just keep you on pills, keep you going, keep you sick, monitor symptoms, but not really fix what the root cause of the problem is. So, it's challenging, but people really have to advocate for themselves nowadays. And that's why I think for us at game day, we do see a bigger push. We see people taking, control of their lives and saying, wait a minute, I'm metabolically unhealthy. Like, I know my general practitioner is saying, well, I'm in range, but I feel like crap. So I'm going to go and get another opinion and talk to this person. And anecdotally, whenever that happens, they come in and invariably 9 out of 10 times they sign up and they feel like $1 million.
Well, to your point, this system, let me say this. I do actually believe, even in the system that is set up currently, that there are good people, there are good doctors, there are absolutely people who want to do 100%. Good work. We also can look at that system and realize it's most likely not working for everybody inside the system, which now we see things coming outside the system and people being able to advocate for themselves. Number one, because they're being educated to know that they can do that. Mm-hmm. But then now they actually have places they can go because it was only the system before.
Yeah.
You had to go to the doctor. You have to get a prescription. You have to do it this way. And now we don't.
Right.
And now we're having the ability, and there's a lot of great practitioners that are breaking out of that system and saying, fuck this, and doing more what we're doing, going into the private sector, the entrepreneurial space, and saying, I'm going to use what I learned inside of that system, but I don't like that system. It's not working. And I'm going to do something over here and create a better avenue.
You're seeing a big shift in people that they really do want to, they've had enough, right? Like COVID has really changed the perspective of medical professionals in a lot of cases. I mean, even my own sister, who's a director of nursing, I mean, it's shocking when you look at, when you're brought up in that community, you're expected to trust it, to trust the science. That's what you've done your entire time. And then you see like these things are done, their children, their friends, everybody is facing these after effects of something that was clearly not supervised properly. It was not done. It was just, they ran a worldwide clinical trial with no exclusion or inclusion on the world and called it a day. That's jarring for a lot of people to try to process now. And I think there's still a lot of avoidance around that topic, and I get it because you don't really want to acknowledge the fact like, wow, they're really that.
We're getting fucked.
They're really that bad.
Yep.
Like, yep, they're really that bad.
Yes.
The answer is yes.
The answer is yes, they are that bad.
So you accept it, and
Not all, but a lot.
Not all,
The sooner
right.
you accept it, it's easier to move on.
But the beautiful part, I think, too, there are some really, especially some of the younger physicians that are coming out there. They're challenging the stat quo, and they're saying, wait a minute. Like, this is not right. The science doesn't make sense. And they're stepping outside the box of the traditional norms, and they're providing the help and the care that people need. And that's why I say, you've really got to advocate for yourself, right? If you're not happy with what you're getting, you've got to search and you've got to advocate. There are physicians out there that will help you. There's plenty of places that will help you, but it is a process.
Yeah. And things like this hopefully can be topically, because he's not a doctor, I'm not a doctor, and that doesn't necessarily mean
but it's
everything.
different.
Well, a doctor of other things. Yeah. Get the opinion of experts while looking up the information for yourself and coming to a conclusion and then making a decision inside out from what you've seen, they've said, the comprehensive blood panels you may have. Get all of the information. Don't just take one doctor said, well, this doctor said I should do this, so I did that. That's one opinion.
Yep.
Get all the opinions, get all the information, distill it, and make a decision that's best for you.
Yeah, like for us at our clinics, for example, if you were to come in, we would run your labs and we would give you the results there on the spot from our labs. However, we're also going to send them out to LabCorp or Access or Quest or whatever and give you a third-party validation so you guys know, all right, hey, we're not Jimmy rigging your labs. Like what we're saying is the truth. And this clinically makes sense with what we're prescribing and what you need.
Yeah.
So, for those that are out there, there's nothing wrong with fact-checking. No. And I implore people to do that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Check on it. Because
don't believe anything. Go check it out. Make sure it's true. Make sure it resonates with you.
Just look at eggs, right? 1 month eggs are the worst food in the world, and the next month they're the superfood. And the other thing, then month 3 they're the
Meanwhile,
downfall
they've been
of modern
around
society.
forever.
Exactly.
Been a superfood forever.
That's
How
right.
about that?
So but kidding aside, there's nothing wrong with that. Like fact check people, and again, that comes down much like whether it's mental health or even a traditional physician.
Right.
Go with who you feel comfortable with. There has to be some sort of energetic exchange where you're going to be honest with that person, because whether it's mental therapy, whether it's physical therapy, whether it's a physician, the more you're giving them and the more honest, the better they're going to be able to treat you, right? If they're any good at what they do.
Well, that ties into what you said about your therapist.
Yeah.
Like him sitting there and being able to listen to you, but it allowed you to build trust.
Sure.
Again.
Yep.
In something that you had been betrayed in before.
Right.
So, with that and with the blood work and knowing that you are sending it out to other places to make sure it's independently verified, we just want to make sure that you have the best actual opportunity to get healthy, not just make money off of you.
Right. And
Which does happen.
It does often. And, look, everyone out there, the health and wellness space, I mean, it's enormous. I think it's over 85 billion this year.
And it's going to keep going. Yeah.
And it's going to keep going because, unfortunately, it keeps getting worse out there. The food keeps getting worse. The chemical keeps getting worse. I mean, word's out, right?
Do you see that ever getting better? Like our food, like our environment, food environment, any of that? Or is it everything's going to get worse there and then you are going to need hormones, most likely?
I honestly am of the opinion that we're pretty much at a point now where we're going to be able to mitigate what we can from the food standpoint, but
right.
Everyone is going to need hormones at some point. I mean, it's when I see 22-year-old guys stopping in the clinic for a hormone test and their testosterone comes back at like 180. Ugh. There's no pre-existing condition that causes that for that young man. I mean, this is a kid.
He should be pumping it.
And the one I'm talking about specifically, I mean, this is a kid who he's going to the gym. He's working out. He's doing the things he should do. He hasn't used pro hormones. He hasn't done anything that would cause any downfall to that. He doesn't have a pituitary tumor or any other nonsense or any other bullshit they're going to throw out. Like, he just has environmental factors that are causing him to not have testosterone. And we see it every day.
How we fixing that shit?
This is one, again, I go back to it's education, right? We got to do the best we can.
Right.
Food choices, sugar is absolute poison. Good luck. We do the best we can, but you got to get rid of sugar. And it's the simple things that, I think back to when we were younger. It sounds crazy. We're here talking like old men, but I think back to the things that we did when we were younger. Whole foods make sense, right? Remember shakes and things like that. They're called a supplement because they supplement the food that you eat. You got to try to eat organic. I know it's cost prohibitive.
Yes.
That's the issue.
Yep.
Do the best you can. When I look at that, I'd say, the cost of buying organic versus the cost of getting more food and eating not organic, you might as well spend on it because you're going to pay either way.
That point is
you're going to pay anyway. You're going to pay on the health, and it's going to be higher for sure than the cost of paying for that. And when I really see it, and I get, everyone, look, it's expensive out there. If there's one thing that you really got to go organic, it's meat.
Your proteins.
It's your proteins. It's
the building blocks of your body
and your hormones.
I mean, they're just so. It's the farm-raised fish and the meat and all this stuff. I mean, you can see it. It's just, it's gray. It's colored. It's not good. None of it's good. But ideally, you have to try to go that route because it's the building block of everything.
Okay. Yeah.
Building block of everything.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And there is at least access to it. I'm not going to say it's easy access. And as you said, cost prohibitive. So I don't want to throw out options where people feel like, well, I can't do that because I just can't afford that.
Right.
I hear you, and I want to empathize with you. And I'm going to ask you a question. Can you afford not to? Answer that question, and then we have something to talk about. Until that point, I'm not going to tell you what to do. These are the things that we're suggesting that we have found based on evidence might assist you.
Sure.
Normally, we have 4 cameras working. I know this is a goofy segue, but follow me here. Normally, we have 4 cameras set up, one on Mike, one on Jeremy, one on me, and then one that was a wide shot. We started off this podcast talking about how my brother Tony worked with Mike.
Yep.
And honestly, Tony, I know that you're here now because that 4th camera's not working. So none of you are going to get a wide shot at all because most likely Tony's telling us it's personal and he wants to make sure that we all have our own FaceTime. And Mike has spent a lot of time today talking about what he's done for other people and what some have been able to do for him. But I know personally, and he started to share it publicly, so I'm going to bring this up, that Mike himself, it seems like he's gone through everything he's gone to in order to be able to start fixing and rebuilding himself. Mike, you put it out recently that you're going through a rare neurological disorder or disease. I don't I'm not sure the proper terminology.
Yep. So
Would you share?
the short version for me is, I've noticed, particularly over the past 2 years, just things that are not normal for me. So memory fog, not sleeping. And when I say not sleeping, brutally not sleeping, waking up with heart rate skyrocketing through the roof, 212 over 115, heart rate going to 185, just writing an email, for no reason. So complete dysautonomia symptoms, have every test known to man, and I'm healthy, right? They're like, you're anxious. I'm like, no, I'm not anxious. Stop telling me I'm anxious.
Take B vitamins.
I'm feeling anxiety, but I'm not anxious. I'm sound asleep. And now I'm waking up, right? Despite all the medication and benzodiazepines that you give me to put me down. Right. I'm up walking 11 miles a night through all that. So that went on for months and months and months. And they're trying to figure out it's this, it's that, and nothing's working, right? So I finally go to a neurologist, and what I find out is I have massive inflammation in my brain coming from COVID. And I know that'll trigger some people out here who believe that
the disease
vaccine,
itself or the vaccine?
both.
Okay. And you know what? Hey,
Both.
you can have opinions. Put them in the comments.
Sure. Yeah. And again,
We're not here to dispute either way.
Sure. So, I have some pre-existing concussions, obviously, from football.
We saw your helmet.
And
Chunks out of it.
Bent face mask.
and the truth of the matter is, what that does is it just allows deeper lesions for that inflammation to penetrate.
Sure.
Right. So, and when I look at this, there's nothing other than, so when I got vaccinated, right, I had one vaccination, instantly started having horrific effects. Got sick again with it 2 other times, coincided with horrific effects. In the hospital 8, 9, 10 times, ER, worst experiences in the world. They have no idea what to do. One doctor offers me sleepy time tea. One nurse tells me they're not going to admit me because I look too fit. That was a funny evening.
Interesting diagnosis.
So
Thanks.
what we found out was I've got this large amount of inflammation in my brain, and it's just sitting in there.
Yeah.
And because of that, it's causing these neurological issues, right? So when I say, no, I'm not anxious, well, I'm not anxious. It's because there's inflammation happening right in my brainstem, right? So this was so many issues have happened from this. I mean, off camera, one of my best friends, Joe, is here, has known me for 30 years. And, if he could tell you how I looked 2 weeks ago versus seeing me today, I mean, he would go on and on. It's mind boggling. I mean, I was in such bad shape. My jaw had to be reset. It was shifted to the right because neurologically, I had so much information. My body was trying to find balance. It pushed my body out. So it has been quite an ordeal for 2 years because it's been a degeneration that even I didn't realize how bad it was. So,
and your guys were telling us a little bit off camera when we had the chance, just some little things like Moose doesn't ever walk into doors and stuff, but he's going through doors, walking into things. Things like that were happening normally, and you weren't even picking up on it.
No. And now that we talk about it, right? Things, I would tell them something in the morning, call them back, tell me the exact same thing.
Repeat.
And I'd have
we already
no
talked about this.
recollection of it. Or I noticed the big thing for me, I'd go through doors, but I wouldn't turn the handle. Wasn't a door. And I'm yanking doors off the hinges.
Fucking with these doors.
Right. And it's because I'm not turning out. And just little goofy things, going to lunch with these guys every day. My toe would trip on a step.
Right.
I'm more athletic than all of them combined in my pinky. I don't trip over steps. And literally I'm tripping over steps every day. I have to use my navigation system. We'd leave and I forgot my wallet. I forgot my phone. So now that we look back, these guys are wow, now we really notice. But the catch, and as I've talked about this and I go through this, what I feel, I have so many people reaching out that are going through the same thing and they're suffering. And I get it because people would look at me I'm not one I'll just put my head down and go through it, right? Like my boy's here, you know, and I love him for it, but like he's like, you don't do that again. Like you got to tell people, right?
I think we just talked about that a little while ago.
100%. Like you have to, you have to do that. Like, because there's people out there that will help you. But, you know, the mistake was people are like, well, he looks healthy. He's got muscles.
Right. Yeah.
He's healthy.
Right.
Healthy guy. He's fine.
Not even close. Like legitimately dying from the inside out.
Yeah.
Everything shutting down, kidneys, liver, no sleep, no eating, nothing, just shutting down. And traditional medicine is, well, let's just treat symptoms. So they're trying to put me on every other med that's making me feel like absolute death. And it's not only not working, it's not fixing anything. Nothing. So again, advocating for myself. Now I got in with the group. I'm doing some research protocols, some things that they've used for traumatic brain injuries. I'm getting that inflammation out of the brain, some stem cells, and you know that's what's shown efficacy for me, right? So it's going to be, you know, a battle here for a couple of months. Like everything else, I'll win, but it's going to be a battle, right? And we'll take it. But that's something, again, you know, I would tell people, be careful. You never know what anyone's going through, right? And you know, I've said it so many times in my life. Like, I was a great functioning addict, and I hit it, and I was dying inside, and people didn't know. The same as I walked around with this from my family, and the same, really over the past 2 years, where I kind of kept just how bad this was from people. And again, I'm fortunate. You know, I've got guys here today that look out for me and have been around for me. But it's important to share that stuff because, you know, I myself, again, I've elongated suffering unnecessarily by not sharing and not allowing people to help.
I'm going to play devil's advocate for a minute.
Sure.
Because I'm not a doctor, but why not fucking play one? Were there other substances involved, whether recently or in your past, that might have contributed to?
Nope. And I can tell you.
Know what I'm talking about?
Oh, absolutely. And I can tell you. You know, when you talk about steroids and things like that, like, you know, times playing in CFL, are there things that I used then? Absolutely. But we're talking 20 years ago, right? There's no pre-existing in the past 2 years. Like, I'm one of those guys that's, you know, I got guys here that see it every day. Like, I am constantly focused on, well, what can we do to optimize our health? What can I say it all the time. These guys get tired of hearing it. Like, what can we do to optimize? Like, I fully believe in treating aging like a disease, right? So when I look at, and I'm a data guy at the end of the day, so most people don't know this, but I'm a nerd, right? So I come from clinical trials and pharmaceuticals, even though I was an athlete. So I love looking at the body and how things work and data and, you know, because math doesn't lie. And it just, when you look at me and you look at my sample set, like, I'm doing everything right. And then all of a sudden I get sick instantaneously. All of these symptoms start happening and they don't leave, and they continue to propagate in the exact same way. And the only change in variable, when I first went in and I had these horrible symptoms where I'm walking around all night, we run every test known to man. The only thing that comes back is my white blood cell count is at 35,000.
Is that high or low?
So that means one thing. I either have leukemia, which I don't, or I have a massive infection. They gave me nothing. I had a massive infection, and it was a COVID infection. And it just,
interesting.
Everyone reacts differently, right? And I know some people, oh, you know, I had COVID, I was fine. I'm awesome. Good for you. I had that shit, and it's killing me. So,
Right.
You know what I mean? I am the healthiest sick person you'll see. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The markers and things like that were immaculate and perfect. And again, just it's been a continuous progressional decline regardless of what I've done up to that point. So again, in sharing that, and I will continue to share what works and the things that are helping me, because I see now so many people are suffering. I mean, open up the news today, you know, it depends how deep you want to get. I got a lot to say. So
I want to go as deep as you're willing. So what do you have to say?
Fire away.
Well, then let's go. What do you have to say about this disease, this neurological?
I mean,
what'd you see today?
When I look at this and I just kind of look at the nature of the world, like we are being categorically lied to. We are lied to about everything. Like, look at the food pyramid, right? We were set up for everybody to get diabetes and cardiovascular disease and all this stuff. The shit they spray on our food, the shit they spray on our air, the shit they spray on our water. Like, it's just, it's, I've always joked, like, I love Australia, but I never want to live in Australia because it seems like everything in Australia wants to kill you, right? There's spiders that are this big, there's snakes that come out of the toilet. But, like, we're living here, and it just seems like literally everything is set up to kill us. Everything is set up to not make us healthy, whether it's too much EMF, whether it's too many light towers, whether it's they're messing with this food, there's this in our water, there's all these things. And then, now in light of, I don't get political, to each their own, but this isn't even a political statement. In light of what's happening in the world with
Say it.
Epstein
Yep.
and these kids, and
Come on.
this is not a Republican or a Democratic matter. This is just a simple human being matter. And like, if you're a pedophile and you hurt a kid, it's just like, what are we talking about? Stop. Enough. And I know I'll trigger some people, and that's okay. I don't care. Line them up, put them in the ground, and let's move on. We shouldn't even be talking about it anymore.
If you have comments about that shit, feel free to put it down and I'll send it over to him, but we're not talking about that shit anymore. So, moving forward with Mike's health, what are the things that you're doing or that your neurological team has sort of, like, Mike, based on what we see in your diagnostics and your blood test, we believe you need to go here. What therapies have they been having you work on?
Yeah, so for me, one of the big ones that I do is ozone therapy. So I have blood taken out. We hit it with ozone. We hit it with red light therapy. We get rid of the toxins and those kind of things, and we put them back in.
So it's like refiltered almost.
I'm using a research protocol that's shown some really, really compelling and exciting results in the trials called ganglioside and carnitine. What ganglioside does, it helps regrow the ganglia in the brain. So when you look at what's happened to me, the neurons basically have clustered so much that, think of like an extension cord that wasn't wrapped up properly, and it's just kind of a mess. That's kind of what's going on there. So what this will do as we clean that crap out and the inflammation, it'll create some spacing again and should allow
Give them a little bit of order.
Correct. It'll clear out the traffic jam that's happening up there, right?
Yes.
Carnitine, another beautiful thing, eradicates inflammation and pulls all that stuff out. Independent of that, I've had some stem cell therapy as well, which is, it's kind of the standard operating procedure when you're talking about this. You have to get things that get through the blood-brain barrier in order to get that inflammation out.
Topically, what is stem cell therapy? Because I know people have talked about it. People on this podcast have talked about it, but I know you know a little bit more than just what it is. What does it do?
When you're looking at this, stem cells are going to go in and they're going to find inflammation. Okay, they're going to cause a cytokine response, and they're going to look at where can we best be served in order to the simplest form, where can we best serve in order to eradicate inflammation and fix damage, right? So that's what they're going to do. They're going to cause the body to send out all those things to fix that damage and to hopefully clear out the junk that's in there, right? The next step for me is I'll be back up the end of the month doing some treatments in New York. Then I'll have what's called an EBOO treatment.
Yeah.
Probably familiar with that. This is the new one where they're going to pull blood out. They're going to put it through the centrifuge. They're going to pull out all the spike proteins, the inflammation, and all that stuff. They're going to put it back in. So I'm hopeful about that one. I'm actually pretty excited about that one because mentally and those things, I feel much better, like cognitively turned on.
Okay.
I definitely feel the difference. The last piece for me is really physical. I'm still struggling to get that restorative sleep.
Right.
The moment I get restorative sleep, I mean, it's game over, right? I will start to really, really heal. So I'm hopeful that EBO treatment will be the kind of that last step that begins to start that healing process. So that's in about 2 weeks. But this has been a good solid 2-year journey of just frustration and not a lot of answers, arguing with traditional medicine and doctors. And again, I respect them. I really do. I understand they worked hard to get the degrees, but I also found categorically I was not listened to. And I know you might know your discipline, but you don't know my body better than me.
You are the CEO of your body.
Correct.
Yes. You have the team working with you on your therapies. You're hopeful about the therapies. This neurological disorder, you're known as Moose. You're known as a big, strong, physical presence. What has this taken away from you?
Yeah, man, it's rough, man. You know, for me, like, obviously I've lost weight. I can't train the way that I used to because my system is turned on all the time.
Right.
So in order for me to run my system down with hard workouts, it's
You're already inflamed
it's counterproductive, right?
Can't recover.
and
So-
not resting.
Right. The body dysmorphia and the things like that of the things that are going through my head and all those things, that's been challenging. But, you know, it also it's been a good practice in self-awareness and being kind to my future self and all those sorts of things, right? So it's a paradigm shift, right? Like, you know, guys sitting here with me today, they laugh, you know, especially Joe, who's known me for 30 years, because he's like, you know, you're going through all this stuff, but you don't miss work. You don't stop. Like, you still call me and talk about work at night and like you haven't slept in days. So I'm one of those guys. I throw myself into other things to try to keep myself busy from that. And then also there's the aspect of me, like, I keep it sort of hidden because I don't want it to come off as the wrong way, but, you know, like, I'm going to win. Like, just, I'm going to win.
Sounds like what you
do. So it's just, it'll take a little while, but,
Yeah, yes.
you know, this will just be another one of those things that I'll beat and I'll tell everybody about it, and I'm going to tell them how I did it. And, you know, much like with my parents' thing, I'll use this as a way that hopefully I can help other people and pay it forward, and they won't need to suffer in the fashion that I did.
Do you have any questions about that? Okay.
Nah, that was a beautiful sentiment.
You two, go over there. Dominic, Joe. I don't care where you sit. Actually, Joe, sit right here. Dominic, sit right there at the end.
Here?
Just right there. Yes, sir. You okay with being on?
Yeah. I get a little nervous, but.
I'll edit it good. I'll show you your segment. You don't have to talk about yourself.
Okay.
Joe, you feel good?
Yeah.
That's exactly right. We are. All right. So during this podcast, Moose has mentioned several times his colleagues off camera. So I decided to bring you guys on camera because the truth is we're here for the truth. We call this Bear It All. You guys have seen Mike now go through this. At least I know you went to school with him for 2 years. I don't know how long you've worked with him, but how long
About a little over 2 years, probably.
So you've seen a lot of these things transpire. Dominic, I ask you just in a simple way, what were some of the things that you saw Mike going through?
So, obviously, from talking to him, he tells me how he's doing and stuff like that. But it wasn't any subtle changes or any changes noticeable. It was kind of over time, you know, tripping up the stairs, repeating himself. Looking back after knowing what's wrong, Joe and I were like, wow, like, we should have noticed that. But there wasn't really anything in specific that we were like, you know, that's troubling.
Got it. Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you for sharing. Joe, what have you seen?
So, I mean, obviously I've known Mike of a very long time. So, you know, to Dom's point, it was kind of, you know, I think I talked to Mike probably more than most people.
You guys are partners in a business. Yeah.
Yeah. So we talk every day. We talk every night. You know, he's had a couple, you know, breakdowns. I knew he was suffering. You know, a lot of that came from the lack of sleep and stuff like that. So when I would, you know, looking back at it, it was actually not as subtle as I thought. I mean, this was pretty rapid. I mean, you alluded to it earlier. Mike is known as Moose to everybody. He's a big guy. He's healthy. You know, and looking at it, you know, and I'm chalking it up to, you know, he just hasn't been sleeping,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
He almost fell on me on the stairs. You know what I mean? He's tripping up the stairs. He's running into things. He's blowing through. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. I mean, we're driving down to our clinic in Philly. I mean, one time he blew through an intersection as if, you know, and he was like, what's that guy doing? You know, guys beeping. I'm like thinking in my head,
Dude, did you not?
Yeah, that was all you. That was all you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't really say anything about it, but just, looking back, it's really sad to think about, how quickly he actually was deteriorating.
Okay. Yeah.
And it wasn't until recently. I mean, Mike had a full blown, breakdown in my office. I hope he doesn't mind me talking about this, but it hit real hard. So it's but like I said, I've known Mike a long time, and for him to, I know he keeps a lot inside, and there's a lot I didn't know until recently. Shopping, falling down in the stores and stuff like that. So, it was pretty emotional for me. I would get text messages. I wake up in the morning. I get up early to go to the gym. 4:35 in the morning, I'll have text messages from Mike saying, I'm not okay. I can't do this, and it's like, do I have to drive over to his house to check on him? I'd call, text, no answer,
Yeah.
So all these things are going through your head. So
Yeah.
it was a little bit of a dark time there. So to see, Mike just talked about it just a little while ago, from just 2 weeks ago to today.
Yep.
Is an incredible difference.
Wow.
So, we can kind of breathe a little bit. He's got a long road, but, all good things, things are definitely changing for the better.
Thank you, Joe, for sharing
Yeah,
that. That's
absolutely.
awesome. Dominic, seeing somebody who's 46 go through this, and you're 22 years old, and you're working with Games Day Men's Health, and you see what's going on in the world, and you see what your peers might be going through. What's it like for you to work with somebody who looks like Moose? What is that like for you? Is that inspiring or is that frightening?
It's scary, right? Because I remember first meeting Moose. I see
Yeah.
him, and he's this alpha male. He's big. He's the perfect man, right? But then you see these things behind the scenes, right? He's sick. He's not doing good. And it's like, it's scary because you don't expect it.
Yeah.
And no one else would expect it
Right.
unless you're close enough with him to know everything that's going on behind the scenes.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm grateful to have, someone like Mike going through this, right? Because it makes me aware of people can be going through things that you don't know about.
Yep.
And then also, obviously it's unfortunate Mike is going through these things, but I get to learn from him how to stay healthy and how to treat my body. And he's been a big part in my health journey with, keeping me healthy. And honestly, like, I've really, I've seen a big difference in myself, working with him and, also Joe and
Yeah.
all these other guys who
Yep. make
their health a priority. I've realized that I've also been doing that now too. So,
Man, thank you. That's some great insight there. That's fantastic. Joe, you and I had an opportunity to meet recently, and you told this really, 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 it hit me hard, this great story. And Mike was alluding to, and I think it's that your story is going to help people understand and set up what he needs to do to make it through what he's going through right now.
Yeah.
You told me the Buffalo story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you mind, in the best way that you can, giving everybody a little
Sure.
insight into the Buffalo
Yeah.
story?
So my son, he's 4 years old. I have a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. I came home one day right after work, and I wanted to grab my 6-year-old, go for a quick bike ride around the development across the street. And my 4-year-old instantly came out, wanted to, he's like, Dad, can I go? I was like, nah, we're just going to do, he doesn't ride his bike yet. So he'd be on his scooter, and I usually have to carry him up the hill, carry the scooter. So I was just like, we're just going to do like a quick loop. He's like, Dad, I'm feeling really strong today. I'm like, how can you not? You know what I mean?
Of course.
So, we son hopped on his bike, and my little guy Gianni, he hopped on his scooter. We went into the development across the street, and at the end of the development, there's a hill that kind of loops around. It's pretty steep. We've gone down it before. Gianni is just working on learning how to use the brake on the back of the scooter, pumping the brake to go slow. So I was next to him just as we got started. I started coasting forward a little bit, and out of nowhere, he goes flying past me. I'm yelling for him to hit the brake. He misses the brake. His foot hits the pavement. He goes right over. He's wearing a helmet, but he landed on his face. So as a father, I immediately picked him up. I saw how, it was pretty bad. His lip was split really bad. He had road rash everywhere.
Blood everywhere.
I'm like a mile from home. Call my wife in a panic.
Yes.
And my wife comes to get us, and then I take him and head off to the emergency room.
Yeah.
So we get there. Luckily, I knew someone who got us in fairly quickly. Doctors got in there. It was really bad. The doctor came in, essentially told me, this is going to be painful for him. Where it's split and where it's at, he's got to go deep with the needle to numb it. And, I was just like, wow, this is going to be brutal, And just about a week prior, Mike told me the Buffalo story. So this was a story I believe he told to his players. It was either, it may have been before a game. I forget the context of it, but essentially, he was telling me how he told the players that Buffalo, when a storm comes, like tornado comes, Buffalo get together. So essentially they're strong now. So rather than most animals that run away, they run into the storm knowing that it's going to be peaceful on the other side. So if you're strong now, you get through it now.
Yeah.
It's, that peace is going to be right on the other side. So, I tried to explain to my son, again, he's only 4. This is very terrifying for him, but to tell a kind of story that he can relate to about an animal. And I talked to him about exactly, what Mike told me about, there's going to be pain now, but in just a few minutes, you're not going to feel pain. So, I told him the buffalo story. So I was like, can you be a buffalo for Dad? And he's just like, he literally just put his thumb up, so I was like, I didn't know what to expect, but, they wrapped him up like a little burrito just to keep him tight because they said, kids are going to scream and stuff.
Yes.
Held my hand. He didn't make one single move. He didn't make one peep. All I felt was a little squeeze of my finger. He was so strong, and he's just like, he asked me right afterwards, he's like, Dad, was I a buffalo? And I was like, absolutely. Oh. So while it was numbing, we got on Amazon. I let him pick out a stuffed buffalo. He sleeps with it, every single night. So, Mike's going through his journey now with his health. And right before he went up to his appointment, obviously me and my wife talk about the situation with Mike.
Yeah.
She hears us talking on the phone. So my kids hear it too.
Yep.
And my 4-year-old, we were talking about Mike going up to see for his treatment a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And my son threw it back. He's like, tell Mr. Mike not to forget about the buffalo, which I thought was the cutest thing in the world. You know what I mean? So that's just something that it's going to stick with my son for probably forever. Yes. He's going to associate anytime he needs to take something head on. He's going to associate it with a buffalo. Not even about a week ago, we were at the Natural Science Museum. Couldn't wait to get to the buffalo. Got a picture of him with the buffalo. Wanted me to show it to Mr. Mike. So anytime there's a buffalo, he's going to associate that with being strong. And that, again, that's something he's going to carry with him the rest of his life for sure.
You all hear that? What Mike has done for a little 4-year-old boy, what Mike has done for countless kids, 22, 40-something, the kind of person that he carries himself as. And now, like the Wizard of Oz, pulling the sheet back a little bit and letting you see behind what's going on. Now you're seeing that he's really human. and that he has some things that he needs and that he's been going through.
Absolutely.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Come on back on, boys. If you don't like this because of me, Jeremy, and Mike, you better like this for Dominic and Joe. They just took a little time out of their day to join us and give us a great perspective. That is not something we have ever had the ability to do. Mike rolls deep. He brings the homies with him. And we had an opportunity to bring them on camera and really get the whole perspective. People that work with you, that count on you, that need you to be available for them and what you're doing. Mike, you do all of these things for everybody else. What does Mike need the most?
What would make me happy is whoever, kids, adults, whoever, be the best version of yourself. And what I mean by that is, you know, so many times I've seen kids, adults, somewhere someone along the line said something, right? You're not good, you're fat, that's bad, that's whatever. And you carry that shit around like an anchor, and it ruins so many wonderful things. Like, you know, I initially said in this podcast, you know, you have to opt for happiness in life, and life is beautiful. There's so many wonderful things out there, you know, and we're marred right now in so much negativity in the world and things like that. And, you know, I think the thing that I've always tried to do is provide people with connection in a very disconnected world, right? Not over social media, not over anything, but legitimately just interacting, you know, with young men and women in a vulnerable place, whether it's after a loss or after a win, or, you know, asking them to do something challenging in the game. I mean, that's real connection. So, you know, for anybody that wants to say thank you to me or do something for me, it would be connect with other people, you know, connect with other people. Be kind to your future self and connect with other people, because I found so many times the things that have led me to be the worst version of myself are not being kind to my future self. It's dysmorphic thinking about holding myself accountable for something that wasn't my fault, or holding myself accountable for someone else's response to something I did. That's a them issue. It's not a me issue. So, you know, for everyone out there, I would leave you with be kind to your future self, and remember, there's no bad days. There's just bad moments of good days.
Okay, so we're going to finish up with one last thing here. We talked earlier in this podcast about how Mike worked at CB East for a few years, then took a little bit of a break, and then came back to CB East, and then that ended this past year. He's been moving on.
Good morning, John. Thank you again for the podcast, for creating a place for people to come and speak on things that they wouldn't ordinarily speak about publicly. This message here is to a friend that I've been friends with for over 30 years that at times has been an enigma to me. I never knew until pretty deep into our friendship how funny Mr. Mike Moosbrugger is. Speaking of funny, to be 6'7" in 8th grade, probably 255 pounds, you know, to me that means somebody's running this whole thing, this universe. Call it you know, God, Yoda, he, she, it. There are no coincidences with a guy like Mike Moosbrugger being named Moosbrugger. The greatest thing about him, though, is he is as endearing and loving and kind as he is big. And we desperately need that in a time of such contention, of such morose, abrasive, behaviors in the communities that we genuinely need to have more kindness. And Moose is a beacon of hope and light in those messages. The message today I read in the morning was, fools are unable or unwilling to learn from anyone, even fools, but the wise are willing to learn from anyone, even fools. Moose is a very wise and caring human because he's been through trauma that would break most people. And I love you, brother, and I appreciate you so much. You carry the biggest heart basically in Bucks County and maybe even the world. And I want to thank you for always being there to be able to discuss anything. I'm here for you as well. I've called you Christmas Eve many, many times. And I'm just proud of you, man, for everything that you do for the community, and you deserve more. You deserve more. And I believe that it's coming. All right. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.
And so, Mike, I would like to finish up today's podcast with you offering to all of your CB East linemen and players that you were able to work with, and all of the players over the years, what would you have liked to have said to them?
I want to address really the players and the coaches, right?
Got it. Okay.
It's because it's important to me. These guys, we've been together for 8 years, right? So again, it was a contentious change for me to leave CB East, right? Really with just one individual there. But from a coaching standpoint, I coached with John Donnelly for 8 years. And as a man and as a friend, as a person, there's few that I hold in higher regard. I mean, he has allowed me to be involved in his life. I've trained his son, Jack, who's at the University of Penn right now, as a scholarship player. He's killing it. And, Jack and I spent 4 years together, working our asses off. We put 100 pounds on that kid. And for John to allow me not only to be such a big part of his football program as a strength and conditioning coach, but for he and his wife to allow me to be a part of their family for that long, that's something like I'll never not be available for his son. The other guys that I've coached with, I see you. Like, I know the sacrifices we make, the time away from our families, the time away from work and the bullshit we deal with, quite frankly. I was really fortunate that I got to coach with Greg Penical this year. Greg is, my last name is Moosbrugger, but I'm a Penical. I mean, we've been together since we were 12 years old, and his son is now playing on the team. So we had a chance to coach together and his son. I mean, that's been a dream come true. And for my players, I'm so proud of all of them. I know they just had signing day. A lot of my athletes signed at different places. 2 of my athletes, one's going to Marist and one is going up to Columbia. My players and my coaches at East, they'll always have a fond place in my heart.
Mike, thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate you having me on, man. It's a pleasure.
All of you at home, if you've been watching this far, be a Buffalo. We love you.
Have the best day. Appreciate you.
Are you having a hard time fitting in? Same here. I am not okay. For the longest time, I was faking fine. I had to learn how to speak the unspoken and find my truth. If you are ready to find your truth, please comment below FINE, F-I-N-E, in all caps, and I'll send you the first step. Welcome to our community, where it's okay to not be okay. See you on the inside.